This session is called SEO for dynamic content. And in this session, you're going to be learning how to set up any website that is based on dynamic content to be search engine optimized. So before we begin, let's talk a little bit about what we mean by dynamic content. So dynamic content is any web page or site that is typically driven by a database. And an e-commerce site is probably the most common example of this. And a database-driven web page will normally have on-page content that changes based on the user's action. For example, when a user searches for something on a site, and based on that search, any number of products or options may be displayed, and over time, as products are added or removed, and that works fantastic. Well, there's going to be some other parameters that you're not going to want to write into the URL because they're not the parameters that are driving the content on the page. This could be something like a session ID, or more commonly, it could be a campaign tag. You might have some sort of ad campaign running and you're tracking them. In the example on your screen here, I have session equals and then a number, source equals ad for, campaign equals blogs. Your marketing department might be wanting to track ads and campaigns and the effectiveness of different traffic sources. So you're going to have all these parameters that are very, very important to your team, but they're not important to Google and they're not important to the user. And the best practice is that the cleaner the URL, the better. And also, as you learned in the duplicate content video, all of these parameters can trigger duplicate content issues. So we want to make sure that these are out of there. Now, we did do the canonical tag. And that means that this step isn't entirely crucial because we are telling Google through the use of the canonical tag that the URL is domain.com/shoes/red/size8. And that's the URL. And it's going to ignore all the rest of the stuff. But Google Webmaster Tools allows you to exclude unimportant parameters. And I definitely recommend doing that because the cleaner the URL, the better. And these parameters are not important, so let's get them out of there. Now let's take a quick second here and jump over to Google Webmaster Tools, where I'll show you how you can exclude these type in source. From there, you pull down this little drop down here and choose no, it does not affect page content. So from here, you can actually save this setting and Google will start to exclude looking at that parameter and considering different values in the parameter, different versions of a page. So once you've done this with all your various parameters, you will have nice clean URLs, and Google's not going to be counting all those different parameters as duplicate content, as we mentioned earlier. So let's jump back into the presentation and move on. So this is one that I see missed a lot. This is a really big missed opportunity here. Because you have a dynamically generated site and users are searching for content, and in our example, we used red size 8 shoes. So one of the things that you're going to want to do is keep track of your internal search. You're going to want to look at what people are typing in very often because you're going to want to leverage these common search terms for internal and external links. Once you know if for some reason red shoes is a highly, highly popular search term on your site and a lot of people are looking for that content, that's a page that obviously you're going to want to have in your sitemap and you're going to want to have indexed with a good page title. But also you're going to want to start building links to it. And building links to dynamic content can get difficult when you're not sure which content is important. Well, internal search is a great way to find out what content is worth linking to and really worth boosting to get high Google rankings. So look at your internal search data, leverage that data to find out what people are really looking for very often, and start building internal and external links. And one of the simplest ways to do this is to have a widget in the sidebar that says common searches or popular searches, something like that, where you're taking the top 10% or so of your searches and having a little widget that's related to the content that they're currently looking at that links to those pages. So when Google crawls your site, they see these links in the widget, they click them, they follow, and they find the content. And the more internal links to a page, the more important they're going to feel that page is. So leverage your own internal search data to find out which dynamically generated pages are very popular and seem very important, and use that when you're going to build links both internally and externally. Okay, so in conclusion, dynamic content can cause a lot of SEO issues. When you're dealing with duplicate content, Google not even being able to see or find these pages, things like that, you can have a lot of issues. But as you can see here, they can be easily avoided by following a pretty simple process here of cleaning up the URL, using the canonical tag and making a nice page title, getting it into your sitemap, and then taking popular searches and building links to them so Google can really see these pages. So following this process will help you easily avoid any dynamic content issues and get those pages ranking well in Google.